On Friday last week, Tanzania's former Vice President Samia Suluhu was sworn in as president after the death of President John Magufuli. Samia, who has become Africa's only current female national leader, is set to be a contrast with her predecessor in terms of personality. What will this new transition in Tanzania mean for the economy? Matt Kiniger, an associate practice lead for Sub-Saharan Africa at Frontier View, joins us now. Hello, Matt. Good to see you. Good afternoon.
Hello, thanks for having me on the show today.
So President Magufuli was a divisive figure, but what do we know about Tanzania's new president, Samia Suluhu Hassan?
Yes, so Mr. Magufuli's leadership style was often quite divisive. He was criticized for being quite autocratic, and his stance on COVID-19 was controversial, to say the least. But in terms of the new president's style, well, she's relatively unknown, I would say, in terms of our understanding of her from an international perspective. As you mentioned, she's going to be Tanzania's first female president, which is quite an achievement for her and for the country. But what we do know is that she's played quite a prominent role when it comes to representing Tanzania at a regional level. So she's very well versed in diplomacy when it comes to the Southern African Development Community, the East African Community, as well as the African Union. So I think she stands quite favorably in terms of her experience in that regard. Another thing worth mentioning from a domestic perspective is that she's actually from Zanzibar, which means that it could be quite interesting to see what she does in terms of representing Zanzibar and policy with regard to Zanzibar over the coming years.
So, do you expect economic policy to change and for Tanzania to head in a different direction under Hassan's leadership?
So the crucial thing we're really looking for with regards to her policy stance is what her relationship with international organizations will be, both within Sub-Saharan Africa, but also in the world more broadly. Crucially, what her relationship with the World Health Organization is going to be. So Mr. Magufuli was rather, I wouldn't say a pariah, but he kept himself rather separate from international organizations. So her engagement with international organizations such as the World Health Organization will be really crucial. It's also worth remembering that elections are not until 2025, so she, in theory, could remain in power for the next 4 or 5 years. And so over this period of time, a lot can change, but we do expect she will spend a lot of time consolidating her power base. So in terms of what we expect for policy going forwards, so we probably expect some shift when it comes to COVID-19 containment, international engagement, but it's very difficult to tell whether there's going to be a wholesale change to economic policy at the time being.
Now, Tanzania's economy has performed relatively well despite the pandemic. Do you expect this upbeat performance to continue in the coming years?
Yes, so official statistics showed that the economy grew by around about 4% in both Q2 and Q3 in 2020, which is really good performance by global standards. Very broadly, we do expect upbeat growth to continue in 2021, 2022, mainly being driven by healthy performance in the manufacturing sectors. Infrastructure construction and investment will continue over the coming year. And agriculture is also likely to perform relatively well because of favorable weather conditions that we've seen across East and Southern Africa. In terms of some of the risks, so obviously the country's COVID-19 situation is quite, we're not really sure what the situation is, but it is alleged to be quite bad, so that is a downside risk. Also, international tourism is also vulnerable to the continued global COVID-19 pandemic. But I would say, on a positive note, the country's monetary landscape is quite stable in terms of inflation and currency, so that's something that businesses can look forward to over the coming year.
All right, thank you very much, Matt. It's always a pleasure having you on the program. Be well and stay safe.
Thank you, you too.